All right, whoa, it's the last day of 2025, and today I'm going to record some videos that I've been wanting to do or started doing and never really kind of completed. This is some Tesla self-driving. It continues to get better every update, so I feel like these videos are starting to get maybe redundant. But I was driving to the supercharger the other day on a full self-driving trial we have in this car. This is a 2024 Model Y, and we've got software full self-driving 14.2.1 or 221. Anyway, I was just going to make some quick videos in this car, and then our other two cars, we're going to be selling one of them, so this is my last chance really to get a full self-driving video in that one, and I'm going to run the same route for all of them. Basically go into the nearest supercharger and go ahead and we'll go there and come back. It's probably going to be 15-20 minutes total for these videos, but yeah, I'm basically just going to click full self-driving and record. So I'm going to do the 360 video. We'll also bring up the full screen view on here, because the visualizations have really improved a lot too, and I think it's fun to be able to see. This is interesting. Now this is telling me that the front camera needs some cleaning. Okay, I'll deal with that later, but that may or may not affect some of our performance. You can maybe see as the sun's coming through here, we've got some residue on the window. I think it's across the whole windshield, but I guess where the camera is too in the back is also affecting it. The side cameras look pretty clean, but yeah, we'll see if this impacts it on this car versus the other ones. But my goal is to, zero interventions today. I think from what I've seen, at least the last couple weeks with this latest update, I'm not expecting to have to intervene at all, which is pretty cool. It's kind of starting to get to the initial promise. Our first vehicle we got 8 years ago with full self-driving, and at the time I was expecting more of an experience like this. It's taken a lot longer, I think, than everyone was expecting to get here. But like I said, I've been really impressed with the latest. Get rid of this. We'll just go ahead and let it do what it's going to do. So we get about a 10-minute ETA. It preconditions the battery because I'm going to go and charge the car while we're there. And then I'll do the same thing with the other cars as well. But yeah, I mean, overall, I've been pretty happy as a Tesla owner. Politics aside and some volatility on that end, like being an owner has kind of had its ups and downs. But we've been Tesla owners for 8 years now. Started with the original, our first car was the 2017 Model X, and that was the first one. They added 8 cameras, and it was the hardware 2.0 at the time to enable full self-driving. That computer kind of fairly quickly got outdated, and there was the hardware version 3. That hardware 3 was a free upgrade for our Model X, when we also have a 2018 Model 3, and that was the same thing. It initially came with hardware 2, and then it got a free upgrade to hardware 3. This is our newest car. We've had it for a little over a year now, a year and a half perhaps, and this is a 2024 Model Y. It has the hardware version 4, so technically the cameras and the computer on this car is more advanced than the other two, but in reality, from what I've seen, is they're all about the same level of capability when it comes to being confident and smooth. And we've been on full self-driving beta since it started years ago, so I've seen this software improve over the years, and I would say now it's gotten to a point where I feel more comfortable with the car driving than perhaps with a human driving. So it's really gotten to the point where I feel like that robo-taxi dream could be a reality. It's mostly regulation at this point that needs to catch up, and I don't know that we'd see any edge conditions today. Probably not, but maybe. You can see here how it's zooming out, showing the traffic. It's got a pretty good range of coverage for what it's tracking and what it's aware of. I like this visualization because it gives me more confidence to know that the car is seeing different things that I'm seeing too. We also have an attention monitoring camera in this car, and the Model 3 that's not in the Model X, that's also watching me to make sure that I'm watching the road. So as we're doing this video, I don't need to interact with anything, but I'll try to look at the camera when I can. We're at this like red light that feels like forever. All right, it's finally green. There are places like here where it's putting its left blinker on that I wouldn't normally do, because now we're turning right. But other than that, that's kind of the only thing that I see that the car does that I don't like, is sometimes it uses the blinkers in a weird way. But as far as like the speed, okay, I gotta, increased attention required because of the camera service issue. Interesting. But yeah, anyway, so I feel like it does a good job of naturally matching what a human driver would do as far as the acceleration, the speed. It's aware of the speed limit, but it's not strictly regulated by the speed limit, so it's not going to hold up a bunch of traffic behind me because I'm going exactly at the speed limit. And now that probably differs by region. Where I am in the suburbs of Boston, the expected kind of human behavior is to go maybe 5 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I don't know why that is. That's just been my whole life like that. That our speed limit signs almost like build that in. So the speed limit officially numbers are a little slower than what people will drive. But it depends on the road, right? Like here it's 30. The car is probably going to be fairly comfortable at 30. We might see some traffic behind us coming up a little bit. So typically people might drive more close to 35 around here. We're at 32 at the moment. But as far as, natural driving and following, the laws and obeying the proper signs and speed limits, like I said, the speed limit's going to be slightly higher than what's posted, but that's typical and that's expected. If you drive exactly at the speed limit here, then you're going to cause a lot of traffic. And I don't know if that's a regional thing. I know there's a personalization setting that you can put in the software that if you wanted adhering strictly to, the law, you can do that. Or if you want to add a little buffer, you can do it usually percentage based or a fixed mile an hour based. Usually like between 5 and 10, like I said, is kind of standard. But yeah, as we're navigating around here, it's winter time. There's not a lot of snow on the ground, so we actually have pretty good coverage and weather. But I have found that when there is, like whiteout conditions when it's snowing. Let's see what we're gonna do here. Yeah, it's waiting, it's looking. It's good. Anyway, so when there's weather conditions like hard rain, or it's dark and it's night, you're gonna need to pay more attention. The autopilot's not gonna be as capable. However, I feel like the visualizations that I see on the screen give me more confidence that it sees things that I won't necessarily see, especially as it relates to pedestrians. Probably notice as we walk by people on the sidewalk, it'll pick up people on the side of the road that I would probably not think about as a driver. If there's no one in the street, I'm not necessarily paying attention to them on the side of the road. Like there's a person coming up over here, and it'll show dogs and bikes and other things that it'll find. It used to at one point show all the trash cans, but it doesn't do that anymore. It'll show a lot of parked cars, and it gives some color coding to the cars too. Like if there's a car that is going to maybe turn in front of me and it's trying to yield, it'll give a heads up and change the color of the car. I think it's blue. I know they kind of change some of the visualizations with each of these updates. But in general, I feel like it's an improvement. You can see like where the lane markings are that it identifies, and the lights. Sometimes for the lights, it'll toggle on and off, or it won't see it well, or it'll catch a light that's angled weird. But for the most part, it's pretty good. So now we're going on the highway. I feel like this is a decent route to do a self-driving video because it's one that I do frequently. Going to the supercharger, it's a mix of highway and urban. We're only going to be on the highway for like one exit, so we still need to merge in front of the truck. It'll pull back the camera in a nice way so that you can, dynamically see as you're shifting, or if you're entering a rotary or coming up on an intersection. It'll adjust the camera in a way that I feel is pretty logical. It gives you a better view. The nice thing about full self-driving that I appreciate too is you never miss an exit. distracted or talking or, doing something, or the exit comes up faster than you're expecting. Maybe it's not that often, but when it happens, it's annoying. And having full self-driving, you don't have to worry about it because it's going to automatically adjust the lanes and know where you need to be for getting off the highway. And there are times that I've seen where it wasn't safe to make an exit. I can't remember if that was a full self-driving or if it was partially me driving. But the car will reroute itself if you do end up missing any navigation, like if you miss an exit or something. Alright, the supercharger here is in a shopping center. It's got a rotary. Also has this is interesting, so there's a police vehicle, and I have not yet seen it in any of the software updates actually indicate emergency vehicle or police vehicle like in a different way. And I'm not sure why. I would expect it should be fairly easy for the software to pick out that there's a police car, it has lights on, but I've never seen it on here actually draw an emergency vehicle. It'll sometimes say it's pulling over for an emergency vehicle, like if there's an ambulance coming by, or it'll say it detected flashing lights for an emergency vehicle, but it doesn't actually draw an emergency vehicle, which I don't know, it just feels like that would be a good addition. Alright, I'm not sure where it's going to take me this time. I was actually surprised last time I drove this car to my house, it brought me into my garage, which it had never done before. We live at the end of the road, and usually it just kind of gets stuck in the circle and stops there. But to my surprise, it actually went in and parked itself in the garage last time. So I'm wondering at the supercharger if it's going to try to park and back in. I think that'd be pretty impressive, but I'm just going to let it go and see what happens. Let's see, we got a few other cars charging now. And there's plenty of spots at least. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to pick a stall. Let's put it on its blinker. Oh, looks like it is. So yeah, I'm waiting for the day where these superchargers can also automatically plug into the car, and I can just let the car go and charge itself during the day. That's interesting. It shows the blinding here too. This is new. I would often see this message that the camera is blocked, but it wouldn't show the picture. Alright, that's it. We made it. We're at the supercharger. I didn't have to do anything. Alright, next I'll pick it up when we leave. Alright, charging's complete, so we're going to do self-driving back home. And let's let it go. God, it's still complaining about my camera being a little dirty. Alright. Oh, I'll probably have to start it. Okay, there we go. So one of the things that I like about being an early Tesla buyer is that we got our first 2 cars with unlimited self-driving, or unlimited supercharging and self-driving. And the self-driving I had to pay for, but the unlimited supercharging was like an early adopter perk. So I'll often come here and basically get free charging, and that's for the life of the cars. We ended up getting this red car in 2024 when they were doing a promo that allowed us to basically transfer our supercharger, free supercharging for life credit, from our original black Model X to this new car. So that was a nice perk, and the Model X has been really good to us, so I probably wouldn't have upgraded as soon except for that. And I was originally going to trade in the Model X, but then I ended up hanging on to it for a while. I think we're finally ready to sell it. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this set of self-driving videos today, because it's probably my last chance to have all 3 cars. They're all about the same software level as well. I actually have an update scheduled for this car that's an additional self-driving update, so it'll no doubt get even better. But I wanted to try to record the same self-driving for all 3 cars so we can see if there's a difference between them. This is the newest one, so I'd expect this one to perform the best. But that being said, I've also been finding that full self-driving on the Model X has been really good. One thing that I wasn't able to do, though, was transfer the full self-driving. So we have full self-driving on our original black Model X and our blue Model 3, because I bought those, 7-8 years ago when we bought the cars. And then when we got this new red car, we were able to transfer the unlimited supercharging, which was the biggest perk for me, because I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's maybe dollar-wise not necessarily as valuable as transferring autopilot would have been. But we didn't, long story short, we didn't transfer autopilot on this car. So right now I'm using autopilot as part of a free trial. They, every so often, especially when there's a significant update, we'll push out like a month free trial to drivers. So I happen to be able to get this full self-driving update for basically the end of December, and I think it expires in a few days. So again, another reason that I wanted to try to get this done. Would I spend the $8,000 it costs to upgrade to full self-driving for this car? I mean, that's an interesting question. I would say today, probably not, although the functionality is impressive and it does get me where I need to go. It's more of a luxury than like a lifestyle, like must-have. However, in the future, if the laws change and we're able to basically use self-driving, and I'm thinking especially for my eldest son, he's legally blind, so he can't take over too much sun. Okay, I got you. Alright, well, that's too bad. That's sharp sun, and my dirty screen caused self-driving to give up. Let's put it back on. Now that we're out of the direct path of the sun, it should be okay. Alright, interesting. So we did have to have an intervention. It does still show me the dirty front camera, and it's nice to see the images. Again, that's new. I don't know if that particular situation would have made a difference even if the glass was like perfectly clean. The sun is pretty blinding, so even as a human driver, I can't really look at that sun. I can still look around it and navigate, so obviously that's still a limitation of the system. And as I was saying, one of the things that, would let me or make me feel like it would be worth spending, an $8,000 upgrade on this software would be if I would say in the laws, but I should also say that, the actual hardware itself, right? Like an incident like that could be a deal breaker for an unmanned vehicle, right? If I had just sent the car to go supercharge itself and then it ran into that situation and there's no driver, it wouldn't really be capable of dealing with it. Maybe it would pull over to the side of the road and then wait for assistance. But until the car can actually drive on its own without a driver, the value of self-driving to me is not worth the money. It's been interesting to be a part of it, and I think I originally bought full self-driving on the other two cars for $5,000. And that was enhanced, like, you still had to pay, I think, $3,000 for the auto lane, steering, and things that are now standard. So the price of autopilot's actually changed a lot over the years. At one point it was $15,000, and then at the moment, maybe a year ago, they cut it back in half to about $8,000. And occasionally they'll let you transfer your autopilot when you upgrade vehicles. For me, the supercharging was more important. I like the ability to not have to worry about a monthly electric bill or gas bill. It's just kind of freeing to be able to go anywhere and think, it's basically free gas or free electricity. So I don't know, just from a mental standpoint, I like that. I mean, over the years of the car, I would expect we used 6 years for the Model X, and if they didn't have that trade-in, I would have kind of kept going. It's 8 years old now, and it's still a good vehicle. I typically would probably hold on to vehicles for about 10 years. So I'm getting 10 years of supercharging. That's a pretty good savings. Especially in the future, you don't know what the electricity prices are going to be. And anyway, it's been nice to have that as a perk. From a full self-driving perspective, at $8,000, it's nice to have, but it's not worth that money to me right now. However, I started saying that if my son was able to use the car, he's legally blind, so he wouldn't be able to drive a normal vehicle. But if that driver assistance technology was, in the law, able for him to drive the car, he can see well enough that he could have taken over in a situation like we just had with the sun coming or blocking. For him, the challenge is actually seeing the faraway road signs, and it's possible for folks with limited vision or who are legally blind to have a driver's license with adaptive technology, and that can include binoculars or some type of physical aid to help them identify upcoming things or street signs. I would say for my son, the biggest challenge will be the street signs, because you wouldn't be able to necessarily read them from far away. But these days with software, especially if you've got the navigation telling you where to go, I think you'd be able to do that. And with a full self-driving, again, if he was able to use this technology to have the independence to drive when he's old enough, he's 14 right now, so we still have a few years. It's 16 and a half where I live before you can get a learner's permit, and then 17 to drive. So I'm very confident that, within that time period, the next 3 years, the technology I think is already there for him to be able to safely operate this vehicle. It's just the law catching up to enable him to be able to have that type of license to use this vehicle or other vehicles to get around. So again, we're getting that sun. So, let's back up. It was just a quick glitch. I didn't actually have to take over this time. But you can see that it's pretty good at getting your attention. If there is an issue or something that it sees on the road, or obstructed camera like we just had, it'll call it out pretty quickly like that. It'll do the same if you're not paying attention either. If it detects your eyes are closed for too long, or you're looking down at your phone or looking at the screen for too long, it usually gives you a more gentle warning initially. But if you continue to ignore the warnings, it'll give that big red alert. But yeah, like I said, overall I've been pretty impressed the last couple weeks. Driving around with this latest update feels really natural. I know, it's interesting. Why is it turning left? It's completely ignoring the route navigation, and that's weird. Now it's rerouting. I wonder if it's trying to avoid the sun. I don't think so. I don't think it's that. I'm giving it too much credit. Honestly, I don't know why it took that turn. That's the first. Just as I was saying, I was impressed by the software. That was like a weird thing to do. But no big deal. We'll still get home. I was originally thinking maybe the navigation had rerouted just due to the traffic conditions, but the blue line was still clearly attempting to navigate forward. So that's funny. But again, it's not really a deal breaker. It's still going to get me home without really having to do anything aside from the time the sun blocked us. All right, after this, I'm going to switch cars. I think I'll do the Model X next, and then I got to charge the Model 3 as well. The Model X no longer has unlimited supercharging, so I'm just for the sake of the video going to navigate to the supercharger and back without actually stopping to charge. And then the blue car will charge. So yeah, overall, a few issues, but generally did a pretty good job. But for my own benefit, I'm going to keep it rolling to see if it'll park in the garage again, because it did that for me the other day and I was not expecting it. I was impressed.